You ever finish a track and think, yeah, that sounds good, but it still doesn't hit you in the chest? Like it's loud, but not massive, and nowhere near the scale of your favorite records. Here's the truth. The pros are sneaking in something you're not. One trick I picked up from working with top-tier rock and metal producers changed everything. It made my tracks feel like actual movie trailers. So in this video, I'll show you how to use orchestral layering to add motion and width and cinematic skill without cluttering your track. Before we dive in, if you want to pull this off fast without getting lost in theory or scoring software, I made a free orchestral cheat sheet for music producers. Grab it below and let's turn your track into a cinematic trailer. So you're probably wondering, how do orchestral parts actually fit into a rock or metal mix? You don't need to learn classical theory or open a scoring template. You just need to think of strings and brass like cinematic versions of your band. Let me show you what I mean. Double basses. They're basically your bass guitar. They hold down the low end, they're clean, focused, no mud. Cellos, think of them as the lower end of the rhythm guitar. Perfect for pushing motion, counter riffs, or tension in the low mids. Violas, thickening everything without begging for attention. Second violins, think of them as your harmony vocals or extra guitar doubles. First violins, this is your melody line. So instead of asking, how do I write orchestral parts? Start asking, what role do I need to support? You're not composing, you're layering the same way you already do with just new textures. So here's the track as it stands right now before any orchestral layers. So that's the raw track. It's tight, it's punchy, but it's still missing that cinematic lift, the kind that makes the chorus feel like a wide shot in a movie. Now here's the key. The orchestra isn't here to steal the spotlight. It's more like a sweetener, a subtle layer that makes everything feel bigger without calling attention to itself. To build that, I'm using Spitfire Audio's Albion 1. And if you're new to orchestration, it's perfect. The pre-built ensembles are drag and drop ready. No need to stress about voicings, mic positions, or have a PhD in film scoring. It gives you that big cinematic Hollywood sound right out of the box. But if you're like me and a bit of a control freak, you can absolutely go deeper. You can build your own custom ensembles, tweak articulations, shape dynamics, and dial in the exact vibe your track needs. It's streamlined when you need speed, flexible when you want full control. So let me show you exactly what I'm adding to this track and how these layers take it from clean and contained to cinematic and full spectrum. All right, so in here in Ableton One, I have the arrangement. Now, the simplest way to get started when you're doing this is go to your bass MIDI. And the reason for that is because from a string arrangement point, the bass MIDI is a great place for us to start with our low register note on the guitar, and then we can bring that down an octave for the double basses, and that gives us our bass range. So we automatically fill out that with the string section. So right now, I'm using this patch in Albion 1 that I designed. String high, string low. These are going to be on spiccato, and then a spizzicato, another spiccato. This particular string ensemble, what I want is just the initial hit of the note. So I just wanted to, boom, accent on that. What happens often with strings is people will pick legato or long sounding strings that are held out. And when you do that, sometimes you miss the bite. And the reason that happens is the way the player plays it, it's a different articulation. So spiccato right at the front helps bring out that note, that transient, if you will, to blend in with everything else. So for this particular track, I went through and as you can see, I took the bass MIDI track and then I believe I brought it up an octave to be in the cello range and then another octave to be in the octave with the violas and then raised it a fifth because in rock, everything's based on the root in the fifth for power chords, basically. So I was like, all right, this will help bring weight to the guitars. And if we play this, I think I only have this. And yep, I only have this going. And let me actually bring this up in volume so you can hear it. All right, let's bring that down. So that's a quick way to get started is if you have bass MIDI or you know what the bass note is, go off of that first so you can start building your chords in the string section. Next is this particular track, if I remember correctly. These are my legato. So All I did was take just the root, octave lower, and then a fifth higher. Let's hear these together. And then if we go to this patch, so I have the strings in all sorts of articulations. I have this one right here that gives me all the options that I could want. Then I have this XL version, again, all the things I can want. Strings even lower. I have this one on this particular setting. It sounded pretty cool. And then again, another XL long, and then again, another XL long, this long. I basically went and found all the string lows and longs that I could find and just stacked them one on top of another so I could get a big, huge sound, because a lot of getting that big orchestral sound is actually layering when it comes to orchestral libraries. Now, you'll see here I have the woodwinds. Now, this is a trick that's also in the cinematic expander. And to get the strings to have a little bit more bite, people often just rely on the double basses, the cellos, the violas, first violins, the second violins, and think that all of that's going to get the sound, but then they don't cut through. And it's because with an orchestra, woodwinds are helping that. Sometimes the woodwinds will follow certain notes that whatever the strings are playing. So in this case, I went and I got the low and the highs and blended those into so that it could accent everything. So as you can see, everything so far has been built off of just using the bass MIDI in smart places, thinking in terms of octaves and how I'm going to want everything to fall through. Next, we have this line over here, and this one is another Albion 1 XL patch, I believe. Yep. And this time we have shorts. So this is probably going to be a spiccato patch. Yep. So on this one, I wanted to create a pulsating sense. Since it's the intro and the hi-hats, I wanted something to help with that momentum. So it doesn't sound realistic right now because I haven't programmed all the expression and everything else we would need. That's not for this video. This is just to get you going. Now, I'm using the same trick as I did before, but I'm using, oh, looks like I got two woodwind shorts. So this was probably instinctively me being like, I couldn't hear that. But I have more woodwinds and strings just blending in to make that sound huge. I can go here. I don't need you. But I'm just stacking on top of stacking. And some of these that have all the articulations, that's the basic ensemble. So you don't really need to do everything in addition. I'm doing it for ridiculous massiveness, essentially. And so now let's take a listen to all three of these. All right. And we're going to go to the next one. Check that out. And this one sounds similar to this. Okay, so yeah, I'm basically doing another round of the full chord on this one. Yep. So I'm doing my root, octave up, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So we have two octaves here, then we have the fifth, and then this one here is another octave of the root. If you want to know how I know that too, in Ableton, you can see right here on the sides one of the notes there so I can see what I'm doing. So let's go take a look at what this patch is doing. And this one's strings. This is probably a short patch. Yep, spiccato, short woodwinds, woodwinds high, short as well. More strings, this time pizzicato. Yep, I'm just using this for further accent because it sounds like I probably, when I was moving quickly writing this, that I wasn't hearing as much note definition as I wanted. So let's bring all these in. This one needs some randomness in the velocities. let's do the same over here. All right, and then let's do this passage again. Randomize, and then bring this in. All right, so for this, I actually want to get a little bit of a ramp up. So let's randomize. Just clear out that. All right, so let's see what's happening here now. So for this, I wanted kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean Hans Zimmer vibe. So that's what I went for. So all I did was take the bass notes and accent them basically how I wanted. And that's why this patch is like a spit staccato, because it's short hits. You can see I already messed with the velocity down here. I think there's actually room to randomize it. And we already know what that patch is. And then down here, we're using this patch for. Yep, so I'm not going to change that because I don't remember if these are different octaves that I'm working in at a first glance, and I don't want to figure it out. So real fast, let's. Cool. And this is the next part. So by itself, it sounds kind of strange. And then if we bring this one in. So this one that we're currently looking at right here is dealing with the lows. That's this one right here. This one is pretty much the lows, shorts, the short lows track. Then up here, we have the higher register one. Excellent. And now we get to like this little build up part. And this time we introduce the brass. So with brass, I was using the short to accent the actual brass and the woodwinds to add some grit. You ever want that big cinematic movie score? Brass. It's brass that you're looking for. All right, so that's what that one is doing. Let's take a listen to see what this one is doing. All right, something similar. Let's take a look at what this one is in contact. So I got brass low, short, woodwinds low, short, no surprise there. Brass low, short, mid brass, short, XL brass, and horns XL. I'm a really big fan of the XL stuff in this update. I forgot when they updated it. So that's all like the pre-chorus part. And then right here, this is where we have the chorus now. And let's take a listen to this part in the chorus. So for this part, I wanted a big cinematic sound for this particular chorus, but I wanted to keep it contained. So it's not too wild, but the strings really help to bring it out. And now what I have in this patch, you're going to see another bunch of woodwinds, strings. You'll see a repeating pattern when it comes to orchestrating this stuff. More long pizzicatos to really accent, or yeah, some short staccatos and pizzicatos to accent the very front of the note. And then when we go here, I'm just playing the chord and then these accents of the note before it goes to the next chord to act as like a leading tone. Now down here you see something else. Let's take a listen to that. Random octave jump, right? And then here comes the really fun part. We haven't gone to this track yet, and now it's about time. So this one is, as you can see, the piano melody. So I took the piano melody at the beginning and I brought it over here, and then I brought it up a bunch of octaves. And here's what we got going on. It's just the piano melody taking up a bunch of octaves. It should be in the second violins, first violins, violas sections. And if we take a listen to this, so it's just this little layer of strings adding tension to the whole thing. And for this patch, you're going to see a recurring theme: shorts, short spiccatos, short spiccatos again, some strings. We're using short strings because we want a very quick attack and release in the way it's being played. Anything too long and it's going to get muddy. So we're doing this to control the dynamics of the performance to get it to cut through. And if we bring it in with everything else that we have going on with the strings and the brass, we get this. So you're probably wondering what that is. That's a breakdown, that breakdown part. And this actually, I don't think I have this playing just yet because I haven't gotten to that part of the song. And then I believe. Awesome. So what we're going to do now is bring in the rest of the band, turn off the orchestra right now, and then I'm going to bring in the orchestra so you can hear it in context. So let's start with the first verse part. Now let's bring in the orchestra. It's going to be a little loud right now so you can hear it. See how I add some life? Let's remove it. All right, now let's go to this next part right here, the verse. All right, and here's the chorus without any orchestra. And now here's the chorus with the orchestra. So that's how a few well-placed orchestral layers can take a good sounding track that still feels like it's missing something and turn it into something that's cinematic, wide, and emotionally alive. But here's the thing, even the best layers won't matter if there isn't a song there to start with. And that's where most producers get stuck, taking an idea and turning it into an actual piece of music. If you've ever sat on a cool riff, unsure of what to do next, that's exactly why you need to check out this next video, where I revealed a simple way you can turn simple riff ideas into full songs you're actually excited to finish without overthinking, theory, or throwing your best ideas away.